Hi Jim,
Hi,
welcome to Sudeep Audio's channel.
it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you on the channel, and we are lucky that we caught you in Bombay. Otherwise, we would have come to Chennai. So,
Oh, sure.
uh, you've been working for years in this industry, both in
Yes.
Chennai as well as now Mumbai also. A lot of film projects recently you did, Barfi, and
Yes.
many other films. You're working on Kill Dil with Shankar Ehsaan
Yeah.
Loy. So, congratulations for these new
Oh,
projects.
thank you so much.
So, if you could share with us about your childhood influences in music, what all you heard, how did you learn music, what instruments, etc.
Okay. Well, it started off, first of all, I was born into a musical family. So, my parents both being musicians. My mom is a singer, my dad is a pianist. So, music is always there from my childhood. So,
Were they professional musicians?
yes, of course, in a different way because we were doing a lot of gospel music at that time.
Okay.
So, we all grew up starting off playing some music instrument or the other. And my dad used to teach the piano. So as a kid, when you're running around, you hear somebody practicing the piano. So automatically your ear sense also grew as a musician. So then when my dad asked me, why don't you also play? But that was quite late in my career because I was maybe in 8th standard or something like that. But of course, we were all born musicians, but never started off formally studying something. And so I also thought, let me start. So then I learnt a little bit, but that's when I sat in front of the piano, I could just play everything off ear than, reading the music here. And so my dad was very insistent, no, you need to read the music first. So, but it was a good journey. So they really, I'm blessed because they got me into this entire thing of music. So music was always the first priority. So music was always there at home. And mom was a HMV artist and Polydor. And so recordings were again part of, it was very easy to just get into the studio and play. So slowly live shows also started. So by 8th, 9th standard, I used to perform for gospel shows with the family.
You never had these, because a lot of children, become shy when they come in front of an audience. It's like at home they
That's
sing
true,
in front
that's
of
true.
relatives and parents, but in front of unknown people.
Yeah.
So
That's true. I guess maybe at that age you're so into music and this is something which was very nice. So when you go up on stage, you just leave that. You just want the music to be there. So somehow that stage fright kind of went off. But maybe it's come back now because I've been so much in the studio. I haven't played live for a while now.
Okay.
So that journey just moved on and then went into college. College was another turning point because that's when you really get to play the different genre of music. So we got into rock music. So I had a band for ourselves. So that's when I started learning a little bit of the other instruments also. I used to play a little bit of guitar. So when we choose a song for the band, so I used to learn the chords. So I used to play guitar, I used to play the bass, I used to play the drums. So whenever somebody doesn't turn up for rehearsal, I'm the one who's filling in there. So it was good fun. So that actually has also helped me later in my programming part of it. So I could sometimes think the way a guitar player might play a part or how the bass player is going to approach a song. So that has helped me in that journey in terms of my music production after that. So that way I grew up and then getting into the industry was something, I don't know, maybe God had a plan for me. I did my undergraduation, finished my post-graduation, then again did some diploma in computer studies. Never thought I'll get into music. But then suddenly Sandeep Chowta, who was a music director, upcoming music director at that time, so he was always calling me, but every time something or the other used to happen. And then, because he knew I was actually doing a lot of ad films, because all my musician friends who were actually rock musicians were also doing ad films simultaneously. So I used to do their music production for them at that time. So through through the grapevine, somebody told about me, and so Sandeep got in touch with me. But somehow it never happened. It went on for like a couple of years. Suddenly one day it so happened when he called, and I was free. So we just went. The moment he saw me play, he was like, we somehow struck that one
Okay.
a chord with
Struck a
each
chord,
other.
yeah.
Because the kind of music which we were listening to, our influences were pretty much the same.
So what kind of music did you listen to? in
I
your
started
childhood?
off with a lot of pop and rock at that time. Rock, I would say Santana, a little bit of Deep Purple. So it was that kind of music. Jazz influence was a little bit much later. I was listening to a little bit of Dave Bruce, and because there's a lot of piano playing in it. So and there were times I used to sit and play the piano a lot. Now it's all become keyboard. But earlier, piano playing was more my forte.
Okay.
But then now that's all changed a little bit. So influences like that, and maybe as a child also, that's how I got the name Jim. I used to listen to a lot of Jim Reeves at that time.
Okay.
So they nicknamed me Jim, and that's become
So
part
what
of
is
my
your
name.
real
My
name?
actual name is Paul.
Oh, okay.
So if you say Paul, nobody knows me.
Okay.
You say Jim, everybody knows. So,
Correct. I'm just a little curious.
Yeah.
Like in Bombay, we have a lot of Bollywood music. I mean, now it's primarily that.
Yeah.
But even in 80s and 70s, it used to be some film music, Hindi film
Exactly.
music, besides
Exactly.
Western music. So in Chennai is where you grew up, right?
Yeah.
What kind of film music was being played, and did you get influenced by that? And did you dance to those tunes?
Mhm. Actually, not that much. See, in those days, again, the only kind of music you listened to was on the radio.
Okay.
So radio, and you have specific timings when you listen to. Even your English music, what you want to listen to, you listen only on a Saturday. Listener's Choice used to be there, so we used to listen to that, and that's how we knew what was happening around the world. Whereas things are different now. But Tamil music, of course, and many functions. In India, every function people start playing music, so that's how you hear a lot of music, and So I don't know whether I got influenced by it a little bit, but at that time Ilayaraja was in his peak, and of course MS and a lot of other music directors. So what happened was listening to that music, but of course it was very different for me. It was very different. Apart from what I was listening to, which is rock and jazz, so it was a little bit different.
Right. So you were saying about meeting Sandeep and striking a chord.
Yeah, I struck a chord there. But at the same time, the best part was I was actually working in a school as a computer teacher.
Oh.
So I was doing music part-time. So I used to finish all my classes by around 11 and then run off to the studio and do Sandeep's work. And Sandeep was also just then coming up. But then he got this movie offer called Satya. We were doing the background score for that. So that was kind of the turning point, because that made big waves around, and Sandeep won the film fair. And of course, he was also getting busy. So slowly I had to let go of this. So this was almost 2 years. So it took me 2 years to really transit, and then I thought maybe I think I should get into music a little more seriously. So I took that seriously and then moved on.
Right. Is that by any chance your second name and last name Satya?
No.
Okay.
The family name is Satya. A lot of people ask me that, but I didn't tag it from the movie.
Correct. So you did that work, and
Yeah.
now when you work on a Hindi film,
Yeah.
I believe Satya was a Hindi film, right?
Yes.
Was language an issue?
Language was definitely an issue, and still is at times, because I'm very basic with my Hindi. So.
Right.
But it's been nice because most of the directors have been very kind. Even sometimes, you can always ask them and they explain the scene to you.
Okay.
So sometimes when you know the storyboard and what's happening,
Hmm.
it's a lot easier to communicate. So you just have to translate the entire thing in music terms,
Correct.
That way even Barfi was a challenge. See, Barfi was just music doing the talking. So
Correct.
it was very challenging and interesting, See, these are things which actually brings out the musician in you. So that's what I feel. It was a good journey. And then later, after Sandeep, it was quite a long time. We did quite a lot of films, almost all his films up to Company, I think. I was working with him. And then later, Pritam called. I used to meet Pritam at Spectral when I used to come for Sandeep's work. So we've always been wanting to work. Then suddenly it happened, and our association has happened in almost 12 years. We've been working together all the way from, I think, his movie called Fantush, which was after that. Then worked on various of his projects. So I would say
down south?
Down south, I have worked with AR Rahman, with a lot with Harris also, and with Yasagar. Rahman, with Rahman, it's mostly additional programming on songs, because he himself is a music producer, so he knows exactly what he does. There are a lot of times he runs out of an idea, so he says, "Why don't you just try out something?" So we go help out with that, and we've done quite a lot of background scores for him at that time.
The environment, since you worked in both of the cities of Chennai and Bombay, the environment in the studio in Chennai versus the work environment in studio in Bombay, do you see any stark difference?
A little bit, definitely.
Okay.
I find Chennai used to be a lot disciplined in terms of time factor. They're very, very time bound. And so when you say, if they call you for a background score, you go on the first day, everything is ready. So because they value time. Because,
so what is ready in the studio? I mean, everything.
Everything. The reels are ready, the director is there, so everything, work starts off straight away.
Right.
Here sometimes it takes a day or two at time.
Right.
But again, it depends on the camera. Here also I've met a lot of people and worked with a lot of people who are very, very organized. So, but styles definitely differ.
Okay. How's
Tamil,
that? I mean,
I know it's a musical thing.
Okay.
Whereas it's a little more background heavy, I would say, in
Right.
terms of Tamil cinema. Hindi, there's a lot of space I feel in music, and we're not. Of course, the style also, stylization is very different.
Right.
We go. I really don't know how to put that across. But Tamil, even if you look at Telugu cinema, they like beat to beat music. Music plays continuously, continuously.
There's no silence.
Yeah, and also the background score goes very according to, let's say somebody cries, the whole orchestra cries. So it can be like that. But again, it depends on the taste of the director and the music director. So sometimes it's very loud also. The
In
background.
terms of, say, having fun in the studio or joking around, and all, is that also different, or it's?
It is, because see, it is a creative process. So you need to be a positive and a happy person, I feel. So if you're having a bad day outside, sometimes that can reflect in your music. Because you're sitting in, so sometimes even a bad day at work, you go back home and you're so grumpy, you say, man, nothing worked out today, you know, like, so that can be, so suddenly when you have a positive day and everything worked out and you've done a large chunk of music and it sounds good, you feel really happy about it. So creativity is the key, I would say.
So you primarily specialize now in programming for or producing scores.
Yes.
So, what are the kind of films you watch or directors you follow from across the world who have a major influence on your creativity?
Influence, I don't know. But the thing is, see, first of all, getting time to watch any film sometimes is so, because we're so much stuck in the studio, so we just want to get away and have some silence for a little while, because we're 24/7 headphones like that.
Right.
But of course, see, if you look at influences, people like John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, Alan Silvestri. Alan Silvestri again was, they're not that very, this thing, a lot of people don't know him that much, but again, fabulous composers. And it's just the melody making, I think, and also the way themes, which I feel is the key to a film also. So sometimes you crack a good theme, I think that can really make a film, change the color of it. Yeah. That's why I feel English film scores are very good, and especially the orchestration, because I always just love to listen to the orchestra playing in that.
Right.
So I like to bring that influence into our film industry out here a little bit. So being again from a little bit of, I won't say jazz, that's too heavy a word to use, though I know a little bit of very interesting chords, so I try and improvise that onto an orchestra playing that, so suddenly it gives a different color again.
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting.
What are your favorite plugins?
Plugins, it started off with Vienna, I remember, because
Right.
Vienna was, because suddenly there was this, because you have a sound in your head and you want the instrument to actually play that, replicate that, and sometimes when you get that, it's like absolutely amazing. Early days, of course, there were quite a lot of plugins, because we worked heavily on hardware gear in those days. I'm saying modules and keyboards, so we used to lug in so much of equipment in those days. But I think every day when you listen to a new sound, it kind of triggers that small little thing in you. So suddenly if I rewind back and just switch on a 5080 or a 2080 and play that sound, wow, this is awesome, man. It's like that. Of course, VSTs is so clean and so beautiful. But see, me doing a lot more live, not live, I would say, sorry, more acoustic instrument, not getting into EDM. I'm not much of an EDM guy. So doing that kind of music, so I listen to a lot of these orchestral. So every time when I don't have too much work, what I do is I sit and listen to all the demos which have come out, new instrument. So East West has been a fabulous library. They've, in fact, I have the Hollywood strings now, picking up the Hollywood brass now. So obviously, see, when your writing also changes with an instrument, because the articulations, every little articulation is there for you right in front. So that suddenly changes your way of writing. So that way, we've come a long way from where we started off. Of course, see, Vienna in those days was like a huge library to buy, and being musicians who were not getting paid that much in those days was like, okay, let's buy it in another 10 years. But now everything is affordable and it's really good. And of course, a lot of contact libraries which have come out.
Right.
But again, see, there was a lot of shift because I started off with Cubase earlier. Cubase was my main programming software. But now I moved on to Logic because I think Rahman was the one who made me shift to that. He said it'd be better if we're on the same platform, So that's been good. But again, with Cubase had their own little plugins, Another thing which I'd like to tell the people, a lot of guys come and ask me, so what do you think? You think Logic is the best software? Somehow it's not like that. It's about which is the software or which is the sound which is going to bring out the music in you. That I think is the important part. And if that makes it, because there's one musician who came and said, "Sir, my son is working on Cakewalk. What do I do?" I said, "Fine. As long as music sounds good, that is important. It doesn't matter from where it is produced from." So that way, so I've managed to learn both these.
DAW.
Yeah, DAW.
Right. Anything else you'd like to share with upcoming programmers in terms of how they can build their careers for a long term? Instead of, because you have many people who have these softwares which they get from torrent sites, etc.
Exactly.
And they think they might have 10 times more than what you had, and they think now, okay, I'm ready for making music. So
that's true. That's true. My take on that would be, see, you might have every little sound, but again, it's your music which matters. I always think that to utilize it in the right way, that makes a lot of sense. And also, most of the people who come in, see, for me, frankly speaking, this is something I always wanted to do. Being the moment I knew about this thing called programming and sequencing, in those days it was called sequencing. So I saw this guy, a relative of ours, he said, "I got this." I was very fascinated with it. Wow, so I could do this. So in the next 3 or 4 years, it was just sitting and learning that. So that was always something which really excited me.
Right.
But I find a lot of people coming in now are, that's why I've worked with quite a lot of young musicians from Kerala, from Tamil Nadu also. Okay. But the thing is, meeting them, I find that, so I always ask them, what is your goal? What is it you want to be? What is it you want to become? You see, I'm very clear in my mind that, because a lot of people ask me, why didn't you get into music direction? I said, I've got offers from quite a lot of directors too. But somehow I felt this is my forte. Sometimes we need to be very clear as to what we're good at. The music, what you see, if you're a music director, the tune should convince you first. If it doesn't convince you, it cannot convince somebody else. So there are times when I do even a music production, sometimes I'm not happy with the production. I won't even play it out to the other people. I say, no, I'm not happy with it. See, if you're not happy with it, how is he going to be happy with it? So it becomes like that. So sometimes people are not clear as to the definition of what they want to be. So I said, so they're only talking about, so do you have this audio unit or this VST? I said, it's not about what you have. There are times with the basic little equipment, when you go back and listen to that song, wow, we did this with just one keyboard, man. And it still sounds good. So it's to do with the music writing, I would say. But there's room for everybody in the business. And important thing, a lot of people say, I would like to say, is creativity. You should stand apart. Don't be like, okay, I want to do something. It's your influences which should come out. And I think what I've been so far is my influences, being in a rock band, being in the gospel circuit. So my chordal thinking is different. My harmonies are different. So there are a lot of arrangers. In those days we used to work with arrangers. So arrangers just comes and tells you, okay, this is the music bit, these are the chords, this. So all you have to do is like a typewriter job, just program it and you're done.
Like an operator kind of.
Yeah, it's more like that. But then a couple of music directors, they said, only for Jim, just give him only the melody. Okay, you don't give him anything else. So they come and give the melody. So the arranger is very curious, he wants to listen to it finally. So he's like, he hears this, how did you think of it like this? I said, no, I'm thinking like this only. When I hear what he had written, then he showed me what he has written. So I said, wow, how did you think like this? So it's like this. So that is how, there's never like, it should be only like this, Given a song, I could think this way. Prasad or Sandy would have thought this way. But it depends nothing was wrong. But everything, which excites you more, which can be a little more different. That's what I feel should be.
Super. Jim, thank you very much for spending time with us.
Welcome.
And sharing.
My pleasure. I want to thank you, Adi, as well as Sudeep Audio. Wishing you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
And for all the musicians who are watching this, all the very best.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.